Alright, so we've got a big hike coming up ahead of us. I think it's time to lighten up. That's right, welcome back to another episode of The Journey. Today we're looking at what's in my pack, specifically in regards to our upcoming hike. We're going to be doing 5 peaks in New Hampshire over the course of 2 days, and it's going to be hot, so we're just trying to keep things as light as possible. I don't always go for as light as possible. Sometimes you always have those luxury items that you bring with you, and you know it's going to weigh a little bit more, but it's just worth it. On this one I got to strip it down. The more I get into this whole filming thing, the more camera gear I have, and I really have to try to make things as ultralight as possible just to make it bearable. So I'll probably have about 6 pounds worth of camera gear with me, and I'm trying to keep things at or around 10 pounds or so base weight, not including water or the clothes that I'm wearing, but or consumables like fuel. So that's the goal. Let's see how we're doing, and we'll get right into it here. So starting off, everything packed up here. This is the Osprey Volt 75 pack. It is much larger than I will typically need, but it's held up great. It was cheap too. That's the beauty of this, is that not only was it cheap, but it was also lighter than most other options, especially considering the size. So it's a 75-liter pack. I'll put all the weights in the description below, but at the time I really had my eye on the Osprey Atmos 65 with the anti-gravity suspension, and I really couldn't afford it at the time, and I ended up getting this, but I don't regret it for a minute. You can put as much stuff as you want in here. I've gone with my wife when she didn't have a pack, so I was able to carry essentially for 2. If my dog comes, I can fit whatever I need in this, but yet it's still light enough where if I just don't mind having a little bit extra space in the pack, I can also go, essentially ultralight here too. So I'd love to save some weight and get a smaller, maybe a Cuban fiber pack at some point, but for now it's getting the job done. So getting right into it here. What are we going to come across first? First thing that I'm finding here is my tarp. This is not the original tarp I started out with. This is actually the War Bonnet Mini Fly, and I got it in the lighter material that they offer. This, I think it was like 11 ounces or so. This actually saved the better part of a pound on my pack, and it also has doors on the side. So even though it's a smaller footprint, and it doesn't have quite as much coverage, as long as you know how to pitch it for your hammock, then you got coverage. Also, it has 2 doors in the end that kind of cinch down, and even if you don't have the same amount of coverage, the ends are not exposed. So this is actually one of my favorite items that I have right now. So yeah, I'm a hammock camper. I'll go with a tent at some point, but for now, I don't know how you can beat it. It's just the most comfortable sleep I have. I sleep better in my hammock than I do whenever I'm at home. So this here, food bag full of food right now. I don't count the contents in here as part of the base weight. It's a consumable. It varies from trip to trip, but just a 13-liter Sea to Summit Ultrasil sack right here. This doubles as my bear bag, so I have a throw line and I can put that up, and just gets the job done. Big enough that you can put your food, your trash, honestly for 2 people for probably up to like a long weekend, maybe up to 3 days. I could probably come close to a week for just myself in this on my own. And my clothes sack here, it's the Sea to Summit, same as that, Ultrasil, but this is the 4-liter. These are my sleep clothes and my extra clothes, so not what I'm wearing. Usually I just have zip-off pants and a t-shirt on the way up, and this hat, but and a pair of socks too. But whenever I get to camp, I do like to have something dry, and also I bring something warm too. So for sleeping at night, or you know, once we get at elevation, if it gets cold or rainy, I'll enjoy having this too. The one thing I didn't bring is my my rain jacket, so I can post a video of that, even though it's not in front of me. That is like one of my favorite pieces of gear as well. It's light, it's multi-purpose, it serves for, you know, if you get wet. It's got a hood, it's breathable, so that's great. That paired up with this, which is just an Eastern Mountain Sports very lightweight fleece, that'll handle pretty much whatever comes at you in the summer months up here in New Hampshire and New England. Whenever I sleep, I just have this cheap pair of running shorts along with a like a thermal long john, kind of no-name knockoff long john. So again, for sleeping, I like to have something I haven't been sweating in all day. This is the shirt that I actually hike in. EMS, this one's an Eddie Bauer, but I have EMS, Techwick. I think they're made at the same place, honestly, same factory, and just branded differently. But Techwick, so it's very breathable. I'll wear one, I'll pack one. I have several, I love them. This also is from EMS, although they don't make it anymore. This is kind of like a Under Armour long sleeve. This is very light as well, but a lot of times, you know, if it's spring or fall or even a cooler day where I know that the peak temperatures are going to be, you know, below 50 degrees, I'll wear this, or if it's windy. I'll also sleep in this too, if necessary. So multiple uses, great piece of gear. Just my smart wool socks here. I'll wear a pair, I'll bring a pair. I actually have a pair that's even lighter than this that I'll usually wear, and then I have the heavier weight ones for colder months or whenever I sleep. And then the sack itself. So minimal on clothing. I mean, you don't really need a change of clothing. You don't need multiple things of underwear and all that. I usually recommend, you know, you have a spare pair of socks and sleep clothes, and then whatever you're going to be in during the day, plus your rain kit. So that'll pretty much get the job done. Look at my shelter option. On this option, this trip I'm actually going with the E&O double nest. This is my original hammock. I've, in my opinion, upgraded to the War Bonnet Blackbird, and I really enjoy this. It's more roomy, it's more comfortable as an integral bug net. It has a side shelf to put my camera equipment or whatever, you know, water bottle, whatever I want during nighttime. However, it is heavier, so unfortunately I'll be going with this just to save some weight. So War Bonnet Blackbird, I love it, but not for this trip. E&O double nest. I modified this with whoopee slings, so just to save weight, got rid of the carabiners, got rid of the original suspension system. So this is just Dyneema cord here, and made into whoopee slings along with a fixed ridge line in here, so it sets up every time the same. I actually really like it a lot. There's some extra fabric on the side that kind of hits you in the face, so it's a little annoying, but I can get past it. And then for a bug net, this is one that I actually made myself, I think on the internet. They call it the Hug, or it's nicknamed the Hug. It's just a half bug net, and you slide your hammock through one end, it drapes over the top, and your top quilt or your sleeping bag takes care of your lower half. So this is another great way of saving weight. As part of that, like I said, I have the whoopee slings to complete that, and where it attaches to the tree. I do have a pair of tree straps and titanium toggles. So those come in super handy if you can ever find them. But the titanium toggles, they just go in with one simple knot, and then you can pull that out. Again, another way of saving weight. I got all this at Dutch Wear Gear, so if you're looking into saving some weight and customizing your stuff, that can be a great option. Along with the titanium toggles and the straps, I also have titanium shepherd hooks there. Here's the titanium toggles, so light spikes, light straps. I keep it all in the original E&O sack here, which was for the original suspension, but this serves as my, it doubles up as my bear bag throw line. So I have a throw line here with a carabiner. I'll just clip that onto here, put a rock in, and I can get my bear bag hung up in a tree to keep all of my smelly stuff and food out of the reach of bears. So that also helps me stay organized a little bit. I really like to be organized in the trail because I have a minor panic attack if I go to, you know, pack something up or go for it and I just can't find it, because, you know, when you're 10 to 20 miles away from the nearest Motel 6, you don't really have too many options at that point. Also makes sure that things can go quicker, you know, whenever you know exactly where it is. I do need to use something in the foot box of the hammock because I don't have a full-length underquilt. So I usually go with a Thermarest seat right here, just inflates. I really enjoy it. Again, multi-purpose. If you want a seat, you can put that on a log after a long day. But it's not the lightest. I ended up going on to lightsmith.com and got a few things over the winter. This is about a quarter the price or less. I think it was only like $5. And it's also a lot lighter. It does serve as some insulation under your feet, and you can also use it as a sit pad if you want at camp. So very light, cheap, win-win. I think I like the other foot pad a lot better. I honestly, it sounds funny, but I get a better night's sleep. This thing tends to fold up a little bit, and I think I'm being mindful of it whenever I sleep. So I'm just, you know, have to fidget with that a little bit. But for now, it's worth the wait. So because I hammock camp, I also have an underquilt. This is the Hammock Gear 40 Degree Phoenix. It's a 3/4 underquilt in trash bag black right here. But no, I love it. This is their original series. Very lightweight. I think it's 800 fill power down. And it keeps me warm. It goes from about your shoulder to right around where your calves start. So you do need to make sure that you wear socks, and then, like I said, that you have a pad underneath. But for multi-use gear and putting it all together, it does save weight. Another thing that I got, and again on the budget-minded side of things, I ended up getting a Econ Hammock Gear Burrow. It's their top quilt. So this saved me a lot of weight over the 20-degree bag that I had before that. And with your Econ line, I think it was only like $120, $130. As far as backpack gear goes, you can't go wrong with that. I also enjoy having a pillow. That's something I'm just not going to do without. Some people can get away with it, or stuffing clothes under there, but I really do like having this in the hammock. This part actually goes and it just clips on your ridge line, so it hangs down. You can adjust it right where your head is, and whenever you get out of the hammock, you don't need to worry about sliding down behind your back and re-propping it up there. It's right where you need it to be. So really enjoy that, and I'm not giving this one up, even though it saves me a couple ounces. Moving along, ditty bag. Not much to say here. 5 ounces of stuff: toilet paper, toothbrush, toothpaste tabs, and some meds. You gotta have it. It's in a bag here because it's waterproof. If I really had to and things are getting soaked, I could always, you know, put something inside this waterproof bag here and be all set. Hydration. I go with the Sawyer Mini right now whenever I'm trying to save some weight. I do have an awesome filter, which is a lot quicker, a lot more convenient. And sometimes we'll share weight when there's a lot of us, and you know, I'll be the only one with a filter, and you know, maybe they'll bring the cook kit or something. We'll save weight that way. But generally speaking, the Sawyer Mini is a great way to go. I mean, you can't beat the weight. It's one of the lightest systems on the market right now, and it works very well. It actually works a lot better than other options. It filters out a lot more stuff. So this is great. Plus, this bag actually serves as some extra water storage. If I fill up everything that I have and I know that I'm going to be out of water for a while, I can actually fill this bag up. Plus there's a 64-ounce bag that I have for not too much more weight, and I can store dirty water in here, and then I can filter it back in to replenish whatever I need to. Like maybe whenever I get to camp or something, that's sometimes what I'll do. So I bring 2 of these bottles These are just 1 1/4 liter used. This is ginger ale. I think I've got a Coke bottle. And then I marked every 2 ounces on here, just so I can measure out whenever I'm measuring for food. So there you have it. Cook kit. I am actually going with the Fancy Feast stove on this, and I really love it. It's my newest purchase. Super lightweight. I mean, if you like to kind of fidget with things, this is a lot of fun, and they're really inexpensive too. So as long as you kind of know what you're doing and you're okay with dealing with some of the quirks, this is an alcohol stove. You use heat, just that cheap yellow bottle. I think it's, you know, like fuel. You know, if you have water in your fuel lines, you use this. But you can just fill up this bottle. This is 4 ounces. This is good for boiling generally 16 ounces of water 4 times over. So plenty of fuel. This is it. This is literally made from a cat food can. And then there's some fiberglass wicking on the outside, as well as just this. This doubles as a pot stand. There's this cheap titanium windscreen, and then just a piece of foil for underneath the stove because it gets a little hot, and then a Toaks 750 milliliter pot. So that's the complete kit right there. Super light. Honestly, it's about as, there goes the pole. Honestly, about as light as I'd want to go, because anything lighter, I feel like I'd be giving up on some functionality. Whenever it gets really cold out, though, sometimes you have some problems with your fuel and all that, and it doesn't want to light. So in that case, I do have a BRS stove. It's not that much heavier. It's a little bit more convenient, but the fuel's a lot more. Plus, you know, recycling wise, you got to deal with these canisters after, which is kind of a pain in the neck. But this little titanium stove, I mean, this is awesome too. Super light. It works a lot faster. This is otherwise my go-to, but for now, we're gonna go with this and see how we do. Got my ultralight medical kit. It's actually not that ultralight, but yeah, I've only had to open this once for some Tylenol, but I guess better safe than sorry when you're out there. The knife I always bring, it's a CRKT, I think it's like a Doug Ritter, yeah, something MK6. It's got some paracord on here, skeleton frame. This is super convenient, works really well. It's cheap steel, but it sharpens well. This actually I'll bring if we're going to be batoning some kindling and we're going to have a fire, but that's not this trip. So if I'm not going to be doing that, honestly, you can't beat a cheap Swiss Army knife. So this actually I got whenever I was in Cub Scouts. I don't even remember the model anymore. It's probably called like a Scout or something like that. But this is, you know, this is 27 years old or so, and it is still like razor sharp. Plus it's got a little more functionality here. Bottle opener, can opener, screwdriver. So that one's coming along this time. I also upgraded my headlamp. This is the Nightcore NU25, and I got this from Lightsmith. They actually modify it for a couple extra bucks with some shock cord to save the additional weight of the strap, which honestly weighs as much as the light does. This has white and red lights, rechargeable, lasts a long time, and it's light too. So again, you can't beat it. It's very small. It has a lock on here so that you can't accidentally turn it on and kill your battery. So love this thing. Della hates the neighbors. What else do we have in here? Head bug net. It is black fly season, so that's just in case. LL Bean fleece hat. Also, don't leave home. I don't leave home without it whenever I hike. This is great for whenever I sleep, and honestly, whenever this hat's not enough and it gets cold. I do have Ben's, a small bottle of Ben's in a plastic bag here in case it leaks, but this is 100% DEET, so if I have to, I use just a little bit of this. But I went ahead and I actually treated all my clothing with Ben's permethrin. This stuff, it's not wet by the time you use it, it's dry. You gotta be real careful when you put this on. I smelled a little bit of it, you know, just in the air, and God, you can feel it like sitting in your lungs. This stuff's probably like Agent Orange back from Vietnam. This stuff is heavy duty, but I will say last time everybody else was dying from black flies, I didn't use any of this and I didn't have one bite, so there's something to it here. I also bring a tick key. That's because honestly whenever I bring Della I had this just for ticks, but I just leave it in here in case I get one. Spare matches just in case. Personal pack towel. This is the nano size, I think. This is the small one. But just microfiber in case you need to kind of, you know, wash your face a little bit. Sometimes you feel crappy after hiking a while and you find a water source, so it's nice to just kind of freshen up a little bit. Plus, you know, if I cook something in a pot and need a little bit of extra, you know, friction to try to get that off, this works well. What else? I also bring these just generic mechanics gloves here to give a little bit of traction if you need them. You know, I can wipe in the winter, I can wipe my goggles off with this. Sometimes your hands do get a little cold even in the summer months whenever it's, you know, misting up at the top or raining at the top and it's windy and say 45 degrees. This is great to have, so I do bring these. I've used them more than I figured I would. I bring this Tyvek for under the pack. Or for the pack under the hammock, so again lightweight. This is actually used for, you know, house wrap, but it has a great perm rating. That's what it does for your house, so it's also great for keeping water off of your stuff from coming up through the ground. Let's see, Coughlin cheap plastic poop shovel. I've only had to use it like twice, but I'm glad I had it. Usually there's a privy around. And often I'll end up bringing this GSI Outdoors mug. I like having a second mug to drink out of for coffee and all that, but on this one, like I said, I'll probably just end up sticking with the titanium pot. I'll drink out of that and then have to wash it after, but it saves me a little bit of weight not having to go with this. But aside from that, I mean, I do like it. It's insulated, nice handle here. So, you know, maybe I'll change my mind, but for now, not going to bring this. And that's it for the pack. For my camera gear, I actually used to use this for my top quilt. It's a Cuban fiber hammock gear stuff sack, and it keeps things dry. I really do believe in keeping my clothes and my down in something waterproof, just in case you get rained on. But now I use it for the camera gear for that same reason. So I just keep that in the top, keeps everything nice and organized, super light. On this one I will be bringing my trekking poles, and I usually haven't been lately because I'm carrying the camera, but what I'm doing to get around that actually is I'm going to get a capture clip by Peak Design, and that way my hands are free for this, or I can just set them aside with one hand, take the camera with the capture clip, do what I have to do, get the footage, and then get back at it. But on a long hike, depending on the route we go, a day is going to be between 12 to 19 miles, but we're going to have, you know, 3+ peaks and X amount of 1,000 feet of elevation gain. So what I do know is if I don't have these on longer trips, that my knee really starts to bother me. So I have some kind of injury under my knee, and if I don't take care of it, I'm in trouble. So I'll be bringing these this time. This also helps if I just want to hang out at camp and I can pitch this under the tarp in porch mode. You kick one up, you can put this under the tarp, and you can actually hang in your hammock and be under, you know, under that. Especially if it rains or something, it's nice to be able to cook under cover there. So that's pretty much it. This may change, you know, over the trips and over the years. So if I have anything worth reporting, we can do an update or it might be interesting to see how this changes, you know, if we're doing a wintertime hike. But yeah, so I guess I'll see you on that trip, and have fun out there and stay safe.